Christ.
I remember a familiar story about an alumni homecoming. And they decided, 10 of them, they decided to pay a visit to their favorite professor at the university. So they were welcome. And while they were seated, the professor got up and prepared some coffee for them. And so he came back with a huge tray full of cups and hot coffee to be served. And the professor said, "Help yourselves, have coffee while we are chatting." And then the professor said, "I notice that most of you, if not all, chose the more expensive looking cups. Yung mga naiwan na lang yung ordinary cups. But sometimes we fail to realize that coffee is more important than the cups." So that short story can connect us to the message of the readings today, especially the gospel, when Jesus said, "I want mercy, not sacrifice." We have the tendency to focus on the externals. So, to complement our reflection, let me share 3 points for our consideration. First, God is always at the side of the victim. You could be a victim of intrigues or envy. There are many victims today in our society. Yung mga walang kay, yung mga walang boses at tinig sa lipunan, nasa laylayan ng lipunan, ika nga. God surprisingly is with them. So we remember the parable of the Good Samaritan, and especially the story of the woman caught in adultery. There again, Jesus showed the face of God. According to Pope Francis, another name of God today is mercy. The Sacred Heart of Jesus is the symbol of God's mercy and forgiveness. Sometimes we can be so focused on the externals. We can have the tendency to forget. Sometimes guilt or even self-pity can come. Nawawalan ka ng self-affirmation at bumababa ang tingin mo sa iyong sarili. External practices are rituals. That is the characteristic of religion. Have you ever wondered why there are so many religions and why people are quarreling? Pag pinag-uusapan ng relihiyon, mga tao hindi nagkakasundo. Using the same Bible and yet with different interpretation and points of view. Kaya, strictly speaking, pwede nating sabihin na Christianity is not really religion. because religion is man-made. From the very word, the etymological word, religare, the initiative of man to connect himself again with God. So, the classic example of Buddha, his experience, mysticism experience, he shared to a group of people. And this has been handed down. Buddhism is one of the major religions. There is a uniqueness in our Christian faith. I think Christianity is the only religion which is actually a relationship with God that preaches on God's as a merciful and loving Father. So here is the message of Jesus proclaimed today. The first reading also tells us the same reality, how the king Hezekiah prayed to God when the prophet told him, "You have only a few days to live. Ayusin mo na ang iyong buhay because God, you will be returning to God and you no longer will be the king." Hezekiah was one of the kings of Israel that we remember as a good, just king. So he accepted the message, but he turned to God in prayer. And God answered him and gave him an extension of 15 years, showing God's mercy and love. The Pharisees, they represent people who are legalistic. Ito yung mga taong nakatutok lang sa batas, externally, walang habas, walang patawad kung maghusga. Sapagkat para sa kanila, ang batas ang pinaka-importante. But forgetting that the highest law is the law of love. So here we have two beautiful readings reminding us of what Jesus said. It is mercy I want, not sacrifice. Habag at awa. Hindi lang yung hain, hindi lang yung ating paglilingkod at pagbibigay ng ating panahon. Naway makintal sa ating puso ang mensahe ng kamahal-mahalang puso ni Jesus, the symbol of God's merciful love. At the light of God's Word, let us rise to present our prayers of the faithful.